you're eating well and clean. I mean, you're not perfect, but you've got your vegetables and you're trying to cut back on the processed stuff and you're thinking about your protein and you're sleeping and you're exercising and you're doing all of those things, but you still feel like exhausted and your hormones are all over the place and you're bloated. It's not that you're broken. It's just that you're like missing this piece. Hey, welcome back to The Wellness Effect. I'm Lace, and as always, I'm here with my two favorite co-hosts, Jensen and Kira. How you doing?
I'm doing good, Lacey. How are you doing?
Good. I'm doing good. You guys excited for today's episode?
I'm very excited. What are we talking about today, Lacey?
We're talking about my favorite subject, low toxic living, because they call me low toxic Lace. Now, back in the day, they used to call me very toxic Lace. Just kidding.
Drop in the comments below, either on Spotify or YouTube or Apple if they let you, if everyone thinks Lacey should change her Instagram handle to Low-Tox Lacey.
Low-Tox
Lace. I
Or
vote
Lace.
Lace. I think she should. 100%.
Me too. And I think I should get a little bit of money for giving you that idea.
Yes, agreed.
Okay, if
Maybe
this
like
episode gets
100,000.
5,000 downloads, I'll do it.
Okay.
But no, I'm excited. So we are going to be talking about that low tox living, and I really am excited about this one. Switching over for me as someone who identifies of having ADHD was very hard for me in the beginning. I can still remember when I lived in my Edmonton apartment and my mom was just trying to get me to switch everything over, but I was honestly just overwhelmed. I didn't really know. I'm not someone who usually like paid attention to what I was buying or even replaced my kitchen supplies when I ran out. And so I remember the first thing that I bought.
General?
Yeah, like in general. Like I didn't really own cleaning supplies.
Kate, I have just one funny story. It's like I was cleaning up the apartment because this will tie into it. I was cleaning up the apartment before we were moving, and Matt's mom came and like helped me clean while the boys were moving everything. All I had was like cleaning vinegar and like natural like surface cleaner. And she's like, "Do you have like any Clorox or?" I was like,
Lysol.
No Lysol. Do you have like anything to like spray the shower with? I was like, usually I just use like, sometimes I'll do like my dish soap and I'll scrub with that. She's like, okay, I need to go to the grocery store and figure this out.
You're like good old fashioned elbow grease, I guess.
Yeah, literally.
That's
so I
funny.
get it.
We get it.
But yeah, so that was about 5 or 6 years ago. And then recently I've been kicking up another notch as we're on our good old fertility journey. And it's just one of the moments in time when you really want to watch it. So I'm excited to talk about it because I feel like I've also learned a lot just through my content that I've been creating for my Instagram. And so I'm more passionate about this subject than I used to be, but I'm excited. And it's not like, I don't want you guys to be nervous. This is not going to be like a fear-mongering episode. I don't want to scare you. That's not the goal here. We are here to not even make you feel guilty about like that candle that you burned last night or that dry shampoo that you used this morning. That's not really what this is. It's just information, and information that most of us were never given and that our doctors usually just aren't talking about. And I genuinely believe that it is a huge missing piece for so many women who are doing quote unquote everything right, and they're just not feeling the way that they want to feel. And so if you are someone who kind of resonates that, you know, you're eating well and clean. I mean, you're not perfect, but you've got your vegetables and you're trying to cut back on the processed stuff and you're thinking about your protein and you're sleeping and you're exercising and you're doing all of those things, but you still feel like exhausted and your hormones are all over the place and you're bloated and everything like that. It can come down to your toxic load. And it's not that you're broken. It's just that you're like missing this piece. And it's not really about like working harder or restricting more. It might just be what you're being exposed to every single day without even realizing it. So that's what we're going to kind of get into today. And just to kind of give you guys an idea, I'm going to go through and talk about the endocrine system, which is your hormone network. I found a really good analogy to hopefully help you guys understand just how important that system is, because we've all heard a million times that they are endocrine disrupting chemicals, and this has been proven. There's lots of research, but people just, I feel like, don't take it seriously. And I think the reason we don't take it seriously is because we really don't understand what the endocrine system actually does or is. So I really want to help you guys understand that. And then we're going to talk about something called your toxic load, which is a really, really important concept about why it's never just one thing. And then the part I really want you to stick around for, which we're going to talk about at the end, is just where to actually start when it comes to swapping out your products, because the goal here is not for you to feel overwhelmed. The goal is for you to leave this episode with one or two things that you want to do differently and you feel totally capable of doing them. So does that sound good, my two
I
co-hosts?
am so
Yeah,
excited.
I'm excited. And I do feel like people are starting to get more curious about it and things are starting to shift. But once again, we never know if we're living in this echo chamber or
I know.
if it's actually happening. But I know, Lacey, you see it with your content all the time. And I just recently posted the toxic swap reel and it went so viral and everyone's like, oh my gosh, like on this journey. It makes me so happy. But I'm like, is this just like my own little Instagram bubble and everyone else is still
I know, it's honestly hard to tell because then I talk to some of my like friends and I'm like, oh man, we've got so far to go.
I
But it's
know.
good. I
Yeah.
think people are just more aware of it because of social media and things like that. And also because there's so many women struggling. Like so many people resonate with that like opening frame that I just laid out of like you're doing all of these things, but you still don't feel good. And I think
Yeah.
too, there's just such a like a divide in the internet still too, where half the people are telling you you don't need to worry about it and it's not going to move the needle and you just need to put the fork down. And then there's the other half of
Ugh.
the internet that's like, no, this is everything and you need to watch what's in your environment. So I think people are probably also just confused on like what is actually important and what do we have to look out for versus fear mongering. So hopefully this episode will clear that up for you guys today.
Yeah, I mean, I think it will. And I think just like knowing too that all three of us like still have the odd thing that we use. Like my house isn't 100%, like swapped over. I know. And I'm like actually thinking, I'm like, wait, what do I use? Like very few things are, but honestly, I think I've been on this journey for probably like I've never bought Tide in my life. I don't know how I like made that happen, but like whatever. So it's taken me since I moved out of the house like 10 to almost 20 years to get it fully like switched over. So I think just like knowing that it takes time and that even if you aren't perfect, it will still make a difference, which I know we're going to get into, but I don't want
Yes.
people to be like, well, I can't switch everything over right now. So like I'm not even
Yeah.
going to bother because that
No.
matters.
And even when you're living with a significant other, because we've ran out of dishwasher pods a few times and I've bought the organic kind. And then the next time Zach does a Costco haul, we've got a
Yeah.
freaking 150 bin full of Tide
I
pods or
know.
whatever. And I'm just saying, but we
And
use
it's
them. I'm
like
not
in the
gonna
white
throw them
bottle, so they're
away.
like they're clean.
Yeah, they're
it's not
clean.
the
Yeah.
normal
No.
Tide.
Okay, well, let's get into it. Like I kind of
Yeah.
said, I do want to first help you guys understand what we're kind of protecting here with the endocrine system before we talk about like what's threatening it. And so your endocrine system is essentially your body's messaging network. And so I found this great analogy. But your endocrine system is essentially your body's messaging network. And you want to think of it like this. So your body has all of these different departments: your metabolism, your reproductive system, your immune system, your mood and brain function, your sleep cycles. And those departments, they need to talk to each other constantly, all day, every day. And the endocrine system is how that communication works. And then the messengers within that system are your hormones. And your hormones are just these like tiny, incredibly powerful chemical signals that travel through your bloodstream and tell different parts of your body what to do. So, when to sleep, when to burn fat, when to ovulate, when to feel energized, when to feel calm. And the glands that produce these hormones, and you've probably heard of them, even if you didn't know what they were. They're your thyroid and your adrenal glands and your ovaries and your pancreas and your pituitary gland. And your pituitary gland is kind of like the person in charge up in your brain. So that's your pituitary gland is telling everybody else what to do, is the CEO, we'll say. And so Here's the thing I want you to really picture is each hormone is like a key, and every cell in your body that receives hormonal signals has what are called receptors. And those are the locks. So a specific key fits into a specific lock. And when it does, it triggers a response, and your cell knows what to do. And so, like, this is crazy, right? When you think about it, like, that system is extraordinary and it's precise and it's constantly self regulating itself. And when it's working the way that it's supposed to, you will feel it. You have energy, your weight stays relatively stable, your cycles are manageable, your mood is even, you sleep, you feel like yourself. And when it's not working, even a little bit off, you will feel that too. Fatigue you can't explain, mood swings, weight that won't move no matter what you do, irregular periods, brain fog, anxiety that kind of like seems to come from nowhere. And so this is why we're talking about this, because the endocrine system is the foundational thing to absolutely everything. And your hormones don't just affect, like, I think for a lot of women, we kind of just think like hormones, reproductive health, right? But they're literally involved in regulating your serotonin and your dopamine levels, which are like your feel good neurotransmitters. There's cortisol, which is your stress hormone. There's melatonin, your sleep hormone. It's suppressed by cortisol. So it's like these endocrine, these little lock and keys have so many jobs and literally depend on how you feel, or the result is how you feel. And so, did that make sense?
Yeah, that was really good.
Okay.
And I think the biggest thing is our body's good at keeping it at homeostasis, but it gets to a point where it can only do so much.
Yeah. Well,
This episode of The Wellness Effect is brought to you by Lifestyle You. If you're listening to this podcast and thinking, okay, this sounds like me, whether it's low energy, hormone imbalances, stubborn symptoms, or you just feel like you've tried everything, Lifestyle You is our root cause coaching program designed to help you actually connect the dots.
we use functional nutrition, personalized support, and functional lab testing to figure out why your body is doing what it's doing, instead of just guessing or slapping a Band-Aid on symptoms.
And because you're a listener of The Wellness Effect, when you use the code Wellness Effect, you'll receive a free functional lab when you join the program. If this episode is resonating with you, make sure to share it with a friend, subscribe to the podcast, and check out the show notes to learn more about Lifestyle You and how to apply.
Well, and just think of like it's just like blows my mind when I like really think about what happens inside of us that we don't even have any control over. Like, there's so many things. And so now that you kind of understand that like key and lock system, I want to talk about what happens when something interferes with it. And that's where these endocrine disruptors come in. So an endocrine disruptor is a chemical. So it's synthetic, or sometimes it can be naturally occurring, that interferes with your hormone system. And they do this in a few different ways. And so the first way is by mimicking. So some chemicals that are in our environment or in our products or whatever are shaped in a way that is close enough to your natural hormones that they actually fit into your hormone receptors. So if you remember the key and lock analogy, imagine someone made a fake key that fits your lock, but when they turn it, it doesn't open the door correctly. It either kind of like jams it open, or it jams it shut, or it's just not like setting perfectly. That's what these chemicals are doing that we are exposed to on a daily basis. They're basically imposter hormones, and your body can't tell the difference. And so the most well-known example that most of the endocrine disrupting chemicals do is they mimic estrogen. And so these are chemicals in our environment that mimic estrogen. And when they bind to your estrogen receptors, so they're putting the fake key in the estrogen receptor lock, they can contribute to what we call estrogen dominance, where the estrogen signaling in your body is turned up too high. And then estrogen dominance is connected to so many of the things women struggle with: heavy, painful periods, fibroids, weight gain around the hips, the thighs, mood swings, breast tenderness, like even increased
breast
risk
cancer.
Cancer. Certain hormone-driven cancers. Like, it's crazy. So they can mimic our hormones. That's one thing endocrine disrupting chemicals do. The second way they
even like, I think you almost need to say that one sentence again. Like, listen to that. I think it's so important. Yeah, it was so good. And I just think it's important to really let that land and let that sink in, what Lacey just said, that these things are literally mimicking the hormones in our bodies, and our bodies are already just like things are a bit weird around here these days. And then all of a sudden, this literal imposter hormone comes in that it hasn't been around before 50, 100 years ago and slams a key that like it's literally giving me goosebumps to just think about how jarring that would be to happen in your home. Like
Mhm.
if
Mhm.
someone had a fake key and busted down your door and fucked up your lock and got into your house, like you would
Yeah.
be so
Fucked up your door.
traumatized.
No.
So think
It's
of that's
to
what's happening to your body. It's not just like la 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 la. It's like that's a stress and a huge shock to your body on top of like what is gonna happen
Yeah.
because of that. Like, oh, it's
It's
well,
so
and,
crazy.
like
easy for
go
people to
ahead,
let
Jen.
this, like, slide and be like, "Oh, well, like,
Yes.
whatever, I feel fine," but it's like, it's not if it's not now, it's later, and there's so much research, this stuff isn't woo-woo anymore, it's so far past the point of people being able to ignore it, and
Mhm.
so, yeah, I do think it is important to just let it land because 'cause we've all been guilty of, like, hearing something and being like, "Well, like, it's like, I don't feel much different right now, it's something I'm, like, willing to deal with," but it's like one day you will, and you also do probably feel it, you just that's your baseline. So,
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's what I was gonna say is who feels fine these days? Like, there's not very many people unless you've been doing the work that feel
yeah.
fine, but yeah, it's just crazy. So they're literally mimicking estrogen and just, like, throw birth control in there. You know what I
Ugh.
mean? Like, it's like your body already doesn't know what the heck, so it's like now it's
And just,
getting
like,
this
poor
other.
detoxification, like
Yeah, it's wild. So okay, so that's the first way and the most well-known way that these chemicals disrupt us, but the second way that disruptors work is by blocking. So they get in the receptor, but they don't activate it. They just kind of sit there and prevent your real hormone from doing its job. So now you have this hormone your body made circling around with nowhere to go. So it's almost like that one blocks the key to the door, right? And now your other hormones are like, what do we do? Which then is going to create excess estrogen where it's not supposed to be. And then you're going to have all of these symptoms. And then the third way is a little bit more sneaky, but some disruptors mess with the production or the breakdown of your hormones. So they interfere with the enzymes and the signaling pathways involved in making hormones or clearing them from your system. So your body might start producing too much or too little, or it might not be clearing old hormones efficiently. And so the thing about all of that is really like, I want you to hear that these effects can happen at incredibly small doses. We're talking like parts per billion, I think is the right. But
yeah.
it's not like you drank a whole bottle of something toxic. This is just everyday low level exposure over time to multiple things. And that's actually what makes it tricky because, like Jensen said, you're not going to feel a dramatic reaction. It is subtle, it's cumulative,
Cumulative.
and it mimics so many other things that doctors often don't even like put it all together.
Together.
And
Mhm.
so it's just super important to start paying attention to. So I'm
Well,
glad you're
and the
listening to
cool
this
thing
episode.
about that is they're starting to do, like, studies on this that when people do start to swap even, like, one hazardous product, they can see levels of these chemicals drop within, like, days. So it
Wow.
just as, like, quickly as it can build up, that's another really important thing to know is that you have the power to help it drop just as quickly as
You're not
well,
too
and
far gone.
no, it's never too late, exactly, and one thing can make a difference.
That's a
Please.
good point because I think a lot of people, especially if we have, like, listeners that are over 50 or whatever, and they've had maybe a lifetime of using more toxic products, it might feel like, "Well, I've already made it this far, what's the point now? Probably can't reverse it," but if you can, that's so interesting. I haven't seen that, but it makes sense because you do notice a difference in how you feel.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's some that's, like, tied up in fat and, like, it's gonna take probably more time and intentional effort to detox that, and that's something that would be taken care of in the root cause reset, so just jump right over into there, but you are going to be able to get a good sort of step ahead, literally within a matter of days is what the one study that I read said, which is so
Yeah, it
Wow.
cool.
was funny because my creative director, like the guy I work with to do my content, we kind of like do our sessions together where we're talking back and forth. And so he asked me, he's like, if a person is really overweight and they have like 50 pounds plus to lose, are you telling them to worry about like their products and stuff like that? He was kind of just like trying to understand what is most important, because obviously it's overwhelming, and like should you just focus on fat loss and not worry about like endocrine disrupting chemicals or, you know, like that. And I'm like, it's kind of more important for them, because if you have more fat, you have more toxins in your fat stored, that when you start losing that fat, it's going to be it's going to make a bigger of an impact. And so I don't think it's ever a good idea to just like ignore this totally and just eat like in a
Mhm.
calorie deficit highly processed foods just so you can lose the weight and then you're in a healthier space, because that byproduct will probably make you more unhealthy and will probably make fat loss even harder. So yeah, it's not really what we believe anymore. But anyways.
Mhm.
Oh,
Wait, so
another
I just wanna
interesting
clarify.
thing. Oh,
Did
go
you s
ahead, Jen.
did you was your opinion you should focus on, like, if you had to choose, prioritize one or the other, fat loss or, like, lowering toxic load, which one did you choose?
Mm.
I think I kinda said both. Like, I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't really believe, but then we started talking about the nutrition hierarchy, where it's like, well, the most important thing you need to do is make sure you're eating enough. And then after that, worry about eating your macros. And then after that, worry about eating your micros of like making sure it's
Yeah.
whole food. So it's like there's different levels, right? But I don't think that I don't think if you're 50 to 100 pounds overweight, that just focusing on a calorie deficit is necessarily serving you. I think
Yeah.
you kind of got to start eating less processed shit. But it totally, like, there's just that's such a nuanced question, you know what I mean? Because it's
I
like, well,
know.
it depends, just
Well,
like
it
with
depends what
anything.
you want. Do you just wanna lose weight, or do you also want to decrease your toxic load, have more energy, have clear skin, be able to shit
Yeah.
regularly, and, like, not have brain fog? Because then
Yeah.
you would
Yeah,
go that way.
and make fat loss easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, and have lose weight without even trying.
Yeah. And then another fun note that was very clear when I was kind of researching for this podcast is just like with every other thing in life, women have to worry a little bit more about our old endocrine system
Yeah.
than men, because we do just have like a more complex hormonal cycling. So like we just have estrogen, progesterone, LH, FSH, all these hormones that kind of rise and fall throughout the month in a very like precise, coordinated way. And more moving parts just means more ways for something to go wrong compared to men. And then, kind of what we were just saying, women also do store more fat tissue just by default, which is fine and we're supposed to, but that means we're also going to store more fat soluble toxins. So we're going to accumulate more. And then the other interesting part is when we're pregnant or when we're going through puberty or when we're postpartum or when we're perimenopause or menopause, like those are all hormonal shifts. And so the endocrine system is more sensitive during those time, because it's actively like developing and changing and establishing itself. And so exposures during those windows have a much larger impact than other times when our hormones are like more stable. So it's just
Oh, because our
something
body's, like, trying to regulate and, like, "Okay, this is our new normal now," and then you're just like,
you're like
"Febreze."
"Bow, bow, bow," pounding down the door with the wrong key. Okay,
Crazy.
so now that we understand what they do, let's kind of talk about just the most common disruptors hiding in everyday life. And we're going to get into specifics a little bit. But again, I'm going to say this one more time. The point is not to scare you or to make you feel like you're living in a toxic wasteland. The point is awareness, as we love to say. We really got to start saying that without saying that, which is what we love to say. It's going to be
Yeah.
my new goal.
Yeah.
Just so that you can make more informed choices, right? Because the more information that we have, the better that we can do. So, starting with synthetic fragrance, I do want to start here because I think it's one of the most surprising one for most people. And when you see the word fragrance on an ingredient label, on your perfume, your lotion, your shampoo, your candle, your air freshener, your laundry detergent, whatever, that one word can actually represent hundreds of individual chemicals that the manufacturers are not actually required to disclose. So it's kind of like this trade secret loophole. And within those undisclosed chemicals are often phthalates, which are known endocrine disruptors that have been linked to the hormone disruption, the reduced fertility, developmental issues in children, and more. And so I usually do like to start with fragrance when people ask kind
Mhm.
of like what's the first ingredient that they should look out for, just because well, what I just said, like there can be hundreds of chemicals that if they use the term fragrance on their ingredients list, they don't have to disclose what's in there. And you can put anything into your fragrance to make it a fragrance. And so you don't even know. You have no idea. And with all of these chemicals, there is lots of research of saying how bad they are, but there's so many new chemicals that come to the surface every single year that are being created in our products and in our environment that the research just can't even keep up, because I can't remember the number, but I think it was like there's like 6,000 new chemicals that we're exposed to every single year. And so it's like there's no way that
Jesus.
we're going to have studies on those. So it's like you just kind of have to use your intuition with some of this. But fragrance is one that we do not need to use our intuition with. This has been shown. This is a known endocrine disruptor, and it is mainly due to phthalates. Just so you know, phthalates does start with a pH, not an F. So if you're looking for
Phthalates.
that on your ingredients label, the pH is
Well, and
silent.
something that really just like sent this home for me that was cool. It's like, so if you think about those, like say the unstoppables, those are the things that you throw in your washing machine and it makes your clothes smell like, I don't even know what, like linen or whatever that smells like. Or there's whatever. There's like a bunch of different
Flowers.
flavors. Flower, spring meadow.
Yeah.
Think about like what makes it do that. It's like a stickiness. It has to be sticky to stay on your clothes for days and days and days and days and days and days. And that is kind of like what you're putting into your endocrine system. Those ones are like extra sticky and going to stick around and linger in your body for longer because
Mhm.
that's literally their job. They've been scientifically created
Developed.
to last and stick forever. So I just hearing that, I'm like, oh yeah, I don't want those
I
on me
know, it's
ever.
so
Yeah, I haven't thought of it like that. Like,
well. It's like when
'cause
you
you use the
touch like a
essential
bounce dryer
oils.
sheet.
I
Ugh.
know.
You know how it has that, like it's so gross.
Yeah.
But another tip, which I might talk about this later, I can't remember, but unscented is
I was just gonna
actually
say this.
a
scent?
scent that is
Not
used
all
to,
the time.
Oh,
not
for
all the time,
fuck.
but that's like a greenwash marketing
Word.
tactic. And so you want to look for fragrance free or phthalate free when
Yeah.
you're buying your products. But I do think I get into that later. So swaps at the
Okay.
end. Well,
Yeah,
telling you
okay.
what to swap and why, and then
Then
going
what
to
we use. Okay.
Yes. And then, okay, so fragrance, first one. Second category is plastics. So specifically BPA, which I think we've all kind of heard about by now, hopefully, and just its replacement. So you've probably seen like the BPA-free on your water bottles or your food containers and thought like, okay, we're good. But the thing with that is when companies remove BPA, they're actually largely replaced with BPS or BPF, which are also biphenyls. I think that's how you say it, which are also endocrine disruptors. So they're just newer and they're less studied, but the BPA-free label is not like a clean bill of health that you're like good to go. I would just really try to avoid plastics, especially like the biggest concerns with plastics is heating them. And so
Mhm.
when you microwave food in plastic or you leave a plastic water bottle in your hot car, that heat accelerates the leaching of the chemicals into your food and into your water. And we just eat and drink so many of those chemicals. And I still haven't watched it, but did you guys watch that documentary on Netflix about the plastic? I
No,
keep
but
meaning to.
I want to watch
So many of my
it.
friends is like, you're going to get so much content from it. You have to watch it. So I have to.
Well, and I think that's kind of driving some of this because I've definitely noticed a shift, and it's like people that never would like listen to our podcast and think we're stupid, like are starting to post about it. So I'm like, just need Netflix to come up with a documentary and then we're all good.
But that is huge, right? Like that's so cool. At least we're like moving in the freaking general right direction where people know
Yeah.
that we're not just like crazy people that are fear mongering. It's like, no, this is real. And the real fear mongering is how much we're not scared of it. Because why? Like, why
Yes.
don't we understand this? So get rid of the plastic, especially in your kitchen, especially with heating things up. And then,
Cutting boards.
Yeah, those gotta go.
oh yeah, cutting boards. If you've seen my reel on that, every time you cut it up, you're getting those little shavings of plastic. And that's just like huge, right? Like that's such
Yeah.
an easy thing to just swap out. It's a one-time purchase. Yeah, they've got
It's
to
just
go.
that one did take me a long time though because they are so convenient just to be able to like throw them in the
Oh, yeah.
dishwasher. But I know it's like they've been gone for a while, but
like they're finding plastics in our brain and our placentas. So like let's
Yeah, and
clean
it's
it up.
linked to they're linking it to Alzheimer's, dementia,
Oh, no
an
way.
increase in plastic in the
I'm not
brain.
surprised. And infertility, like,
Yep,
Everything, yeah.
everything. So
it's like,
just
oh, I
get rid
wonder
of
why
it.
no one can get pregnant. Maybe because we ate out of plastic heated up containers for our whole entire life.
Yeah. Like,
Cool Whip containers.
Yes,
but
literally.
don't worry
They
because you can do
sell.
IVF.
Yeah, don't yeah.
Okay, third is parabens. So these are preservatives used in your personal care products. So things like moisturizers, shampoos, makeup, and they just help extend the shelf life of those products. So they've been found in our breast tissue because they are the ones that mimic estrogen. So they're relatively easy to avoid because the labeling is usually pretty clear, but you just want to look for paraben on the container. And if it has that, then you don't want it. And there's like 4 different or 5 different versions of paraben. And so that there's like a little, it's like methyl paraben, ethyl paraben, propyl paraben, and like butyl paraffin. But I don't even remember that. I just look for the paraben when I'm looking on it. And now we are getting better that a lot of the products will say paraben free.
Paraben free.
So that's like an easy thing to look for on the ingredients list or just like the label that people are kind of marketing towards that.
So that's an estrogen
Yeah.
mimicking one.
Yeah.
And it's a preservative. So you mostly
Yeah.
find it in like
Beauty products,
beauty
just things that go on the
products.
shelf that don't go bad. You know what I mean? Like there's a
Okay.
reason our shampoo doesn't go moldy, and it's because of parabens.
Not the moldy shampoo.
Which I don't actually know if that's what the preservative is, but that's where my brain goes. But it is. It just
Yeah, same.
makes it last longer and smell good longer and blah, blah, blah. So it benefits the company because then they can make more product and they never have to waste it and they never have to sell it out. And that's why they choose to do it.
But also, like, people would have to buy more if they just wouldn't put these like preservatives that make them last like
I
8 years
know.
long.
I know.
Like, stupid business move.
Stupid. That's a man. That's a
That's a
man's
man
choice
making
right
that
there.
decision.
For sure. Fourth category, and this one's a big one, is PFAs. So they're known as the forever chemicals because they literally do not break down in the environment or in your body. So this is things like nonstick cookware, unfortunately, food
I know.
packaging, stain resistant clothing, waterproof gear, some cosmetics. And they've been linked to thyroid dysfunction, immune function changes, and hormonal issues. And they've been found in the blood of virtually every single person that has been tested in North America. So we love that.
Yeah.
And then we've got
Okay.
pesticides.
This is
So
getting a
most,
little dark.
I know it
I
is
know.
dark. We're almost through. I've
It's
got like
dark.
2 more,
It
I
is
think.
dark.
And then pesticides. So most of us know pesticides are in our produce, our food, but they're also in conventionally grown grains. And then they get into our water supply. So certain pesticides like phosphates, atrazine, there's a few, they all have significant endocrine disrupting activity. So I know that list feels like a lot, but here's kind of what I want you to take from it is these things are everywhere, which means reducing your exposure is less about being perfect and more about being strategic. And that's kind of what I'm going to just talk about a little bit next. But any other thoughts on that before we move forward?
There is one cool thing that I just want to mention because, like I said in the middle of that, like, ooh, that got a little dark and scary. But this is kind of how I like to think of it is remembering that your body is going to be constantly trying to move all that stuff out, right? So your entire like detox drainage funnel, if it's working so hard on all these toxins and all these chemicals and like your liver and your lymphatic system, they're working hard to process and clear all of this. And if we can start to take some of that weight off, like I honestly remember you or Lacey, like I had a reel a long time ago talking about the liver and everyone was like, you don't need to support your liver. And you like came and started beaking people saying like, if you had 500 jobs, like wouldn't you want someone to just offer to do 1 or 2 of them?
Yes.
And I was like, yeah, like that
That's such a
totally
good
makes
point.
yes. So it's like what could happen to your body if your liver and your lymphatic system was able to function properly? Like we're talking always getting sick, is your skin shitty, just like all those things that we see show up like digestion issues, all of these problems, even just would go down so much if your liver and your all those drainage organs just had less to do,
Yeah. Well, and the other
right?
thing is too is like, yeah, your liver can do its job too, but what happens when it has to do its job 5 times for the same amount? Because that's what
Mhm.
is often the case is you're not pooping, these products aren't getting out of you, and then they're getting recirculated, reabsorbed, and now your liver has to process the same things all over again. So now it's like it's doing 5 times. Like it just I hate that fucking argument so much.
I
But
know.
It's
anyways.
so stupid. It's like, yeah, our liver is meant to do that, but our liver wasn't like designed when we had 8 million different forever
Yeah.
chemicals we were trying to
It was
process.
when
Like,
I saw someone say that, it's like it was designed to detox, like, a little bit of smoke from the campfire, and, like, that was literally it. And now
yeah,
it's
that's
like I just read
crazy.
something, it's like, "We only stopped smoking cigarettes in houses, like, 10 years ago." Can we, like slow down here? Like, jeez.
Smoking darts on the plane, that was actually crazy
Yeah.
to me.
I worked in a restaurant that had a smoking section, like, at one point, and
That's
I'm
so
not an
wild.
old person, but, like, you could smoke, like, it's crazy.
No, it's
Yeah.
crazy. Okay, so now I want to help you guys understand what your toxic load is. And this is kind of a concept that I think it's going to make everything we've just talked about click into place. So it's called toxic load, or sometimes like called total body burden, or we like it to call it our toxic bucket. But imagine your body has a bucket, and in that bucket, over the course of your life, goes every single toxic exposure you've encountered: the pesticides on your food, the synthetic fragrance in your shampoo, the BPA that leached into your water, the air quality in your home, the cleaning products you use, the stress hormones your body produces. This all goes in that bucket. And like we were just talking about, like our body does have amazing detoxification pathways: our liver, our kidney, our lymphatic system, your skin through sweat, and they're constantly working to empty that bucket. And so for a long time, you might have felt fine, and that means your body is keeping up, and that's great. But then that bucket starts getting fuller. Maybe you've moved into a new house with new carpets and fresh paint, or maybe you've went through a really stressful period at work, or your gut health declined and now your detox pathways got less efficient. Or maybe you just hit a certain age and your body's capacity to manage it all shifted, and then that bucket starts to overflow. And when it overflows, that's when symptoms show up: the fatigue that come out of nowhere, like that sudden hormonal chaos, the weight gain that doesn't make sense, the skin issues, anxiety, whatever it is. And this is so important because people will go to the doctor at that point and get told that everything looks normal because individually, each exposure is below what's considered a dangerous threshold. And so you can even get tested and it can look like everything is fine, but that testing looks at one thing at a time, but no one is measuring kind of like that total bucket load. And something that we always also believe is that our genetics kind of determine that size of the bucket. And so that's why we all have that one friend that eats like craps and uses bounce dryer sheets and never goes outside, and they're perfectly fine and healthy. I argue that they're probably just it's their baseline and they don't actually know what feeling good feels like. But we all know those
Yeah.
people, right? That's why there's so many different people and so many people have different symptoms because it's your genetics kind of determine how much of that toxic load that you can handle. And this is just why like root cause healing and wellness matters so much, because you can't address this with a single prescription or like a specific supplement. You have to work at the whole picture, and you have to ask like what is filling this person's bucket and how do we empty it more efficiently. And the cool thing about this, like framing it like this, is it is empowering because it's not one single thing that's causing the problem. If it's not one single thing that's causing the problem, it also means it's not one single thing you have to fix. Every single swap that you make, every cleaner product you choose, every glass of filtered water instead of tap, that is going to reduce the load that's going in. And so kind of like every night of good sleep that you get and every time you go in the sauna or walk or eat a piece of cruciferous vegetables, like that's supporting the pathways that empty the bucket, and it does add up. And you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be consistent and start making those
And aware.
swaps. Yeah. And aware.
And, like,
That's
something that I've been thinking a lot about is to, like, glorify and, I don't know, like, being like a wellness girly. Like instead of feeling like, oh, now I have to do all these swaps. It's like, no, you get to fucking enter your wellness
Your
girly
crunchy era.
your crunchy era that you've been scanning and secretly wishing you could do for whoever the hell knows how long. Like anyone can do that. And I think that was something that for me, I like weirdly struggled with. It's like, well, I can't do it all. So I won't be like a full crunchy mom, but like, so there's that barrier there, but it's like, do you really want that? If you're listening to this podcast, you want that, whether you want to admit it or not. And like, you can allow yourself to just surrender. Cause honestly, it's fucking fun over here. I love being like the wellness girly who gets to
Yes.
like pick stuff and help people and
Find new
like
things.
find their new products and like look for that stuff. And oftentimes it's like when we're talking about swapping pans and cutting boards and all of that kind of stuff, it's like more durable, less expensive, and looks cuter. So it's like, what I
Like
love all the
stainless steel is annoying, but it cooks your food so much better once you get like a hang of
Yes.
it, and it's like fun. Like I know it sounds so silly, but it is. That's such a good point. Like you just have to
Mhm.
glorify it a little bit.
Yeah. And I think it's just goes back to, it's like the all or nothing mindset that people have, right? Like
Mhm.
we see it all of the time, but like you're just, especially if you know you have the all or nothing mindset and you use that as an excuse, like that is just like a protective mechanism and you are straight up self-sabotaging because
Yeah.
there is no all or nothing. It's not even that, because like stress in a huge sense is also an endocrine disruptor, and that chronic elevated cortisol, if you're chronically stressed about doing all of these things and being perfect, that's going to suppress your thyroid function. That's going to disrupt your sex hormone balance. Like that's going to deplete progesterone. That's going to damage
Yeah.
your gut health. And so the stress of obsessing over every ingredient label or feeling like super guilty every time you light a freaking candle, or like just like white knuckling your way through a grocery store of like sitting in there for 8 hours reading absolutely every list that you can see, like that's not helping you. And that stress
Uh-huh.
is going right in that bucket too. And so this whole like philosophy only works if it comes from a place of empowerment and curiosity,
Mhm.
not like
Mhm.
fear and restriction. And so progress over perfection always. Okay. Say it
Yes.
with
Yeah.
me now.
Yeah.
And it's I think something cool like that I do too is like if you're afraid of or intimidated by like looking at ingredients for on stuff, or you're finding yourself in the grocery store aisle literally reading labels for like hours every week, just buy more whole foods because you don't even have to read the label.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
Like
the best.
lazy
Lazy
girl
girl.
wellness hacks.
Shop on the outside of the grocery store. That's a rule that still works to this day.
Mhm.
Well, and even with like the greenwashing, like if you get out of this podcast and you're like, oh my God, I forget all these like words that they just said already. Like just look for the one that looks a little better, and it might not be the right one, but at least you're like starting to make that like habit change where you are searching, and then you'll realize that these like ones that have a bunch of leaves all over it actually have fragrance and parabens in it. And then you can like start to do research from there, but at least you're switching the habit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
100%. So
Love it.
now I want to talk a little bit about and just give some context on, and we've kind of been chatting about this throughout, but just like why our generation is dealing with this more than any other generation before. And
Mhm.
I think it helps to understand that this is not like us being weak or like overly sensitive. It is just like genuine, historically unprecedented chemical exposure situation. And so in the 1940s and the 1950s, there was an enormous boom in the synthetic chemical production. And it's because it was like the post-war era at that time. And that brought in like plastics and pesticides and synthetic dyes and preservatives. And it transformed the manufacturing and the agriculture and the consumer goods. And there was like this general assumption that if a chemical was used at low levels, that it was safe, because we just didn't know any better back then. And the problem is that the assumption was just based on a model that doesn't account for endocrine disruption. So traditional toxicology, how we've always studied chemical safety, it operates at the principle that the dose makes the poison. So more of like a chemical equals more harm. So more of a chemical equals more harm. The more you have, the more it harms you. But endocrine disruptors don't follow that rule. They can have effects at very, very low doses that don't appear at higher doses. So that's crazy because sometimes it
Wow.
can be worse for your endocrine disruptor at a lower dose versus if you like drink the
What?
whole bottle of Tide, which is
What?
wild. But they can have effects during specific windows of exposure, like specifically pregnancy or puberty or when you're like transitioning through hormones, so menopause, that doesn't appear at other times. And they can act in combination with other chemicals in ways that multiply their effect. None of this was in like those original safety models. And the reality of it, of just like the regulation in US and Canada is, well, I think this is more US, is insane compared to other parts of the world. Like in Europe, over 1,400 chemicals are banned or restricted in cosmetics and personal care products. In the United States, which I think Canada were like a little bit better than the United States, but not by much, the number's
Depends what you're
11.
talking about.
Yeah.
11
11. So there's
versus
only 11 chemicals. And it goes back to what I said,
Oh
which I
my
should Google
God.
this to make sure it's right. But there's something like 6,000 new chemicals every year coming into the
Yeah,
thing. And so
market.
it's like, how can they don't even know. But it's like just having that, like, why does Europe ban 1,400 chemicals and US bans 11? Like, where did we decide and why did we decide that
Free
those
market, baby.
1388 chemicals are okay? Like, it's just wild, but the FDA does not require pre-market safety testing of cosmetic ingredients in the US. So a company can formulate a product, put it on its shelves without anyone independently verifying that it's safe for your hormones.
And like
So
just remember that that goes for baby products as well. Like just think about that for a second, that like you're
That's
slathering
so
shit on your
messed
baby
up.
that's literally never been tested on a human or a baby, and like
Or even like baby powder, like that was like banned, I feel
oh
like a couple of years ago. You know what I mean? Not, or they had to change the formula. There was a
well,
chemical
there
in
was a
it.
huge lawsuit. I don't even know if they fucking changed it. Probably.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, I'm sure
huge
they did.
lawsuit.
But
And then same thing with the Batiste dry shampoo. I don't even know if they ended up changing that. Still, I thought it was going to go bankrupt after that lawsuit, and then it's still on the shelves
still going
anywhere.
strong.
I don't
I
know.
won't lie, that was one of my
It was
longtime lingers.
the best, but
Yeah.
Primally Pure Code Wellness with
Yeah.
Jensen has an amazing
It is amazing.
dry shampoo.
dry shampoo. No, but it's just
Crazy.
crazy. And like
Crazy.
even when a product says like dermatologist tested or clinically proven or natural, like that doesn't tell you anything about whether the ingredients are safe for your endocrine system. The regulation, like, just it's not there to back us up, so we have to kind of like fend for ourselves. But again, I'm not saying this to like make you scared or angry, although I think a little bit of
little bit
that
too
is
late.
warranted
We're
here.
Yeah. A little bit of
But-
fear is important.
Yeah, but just saying it more so you guys can understand, like, you can't just trust labels and you have to know what to look for. And that's what we're about to get into. Oh yeah, I want to talk about like what natural means. So in North America, natural on a personal care or cosmetic product is totally unregulated. So there's no legal definition of natural. So any brand can put it on anything. Same with clean beauty, that's unregulated. Non-toxic is unregulated, and even hypoallergenic is non-regulated. Like, there's no legal definition of that, meaning people and companies can just throw on that term. And so the terms that do have regulation are certified organic, and then I think like the EWG verified.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that are involved in third party assessment. But it's just like crazy how much they try to trick you into thinking that
Mhm.
it's good versus it's not, which is just like fucked up in its own sense. But anyways,
Any
All
hoozle.
right.
Any
So
hoozle.
what are we swapping out?
what do we swap-a-roo? Okay, so where do we start? That's the next question of the day. So this is the part that everyone's been waiting for. Am I right? Can I get a hoorah?
Hoorah! Oh, my shoulder cracked. That was
Okay, so I want to be intentional about how I frame this because I've seen the clean living space, I think we all have, just get very overwhelming really fast, and I don't want that for you. So the principle that I want you to take into this is swap as you run out. That's always our golden rule. You do not need to go home and throw everything away today. Just when something runs out, you replace it with a cleaner option. That's it. You're going to make progress every single time something runs out, and you make a more informed choice. And over the course of a year, your entire home really can look different. But don't let
Mhm.
yourself have the all or nothing mindset. If you even have the urge, even if you can afford to like go throw out everything in your house and like just don't. Just like let
Don't.
this be a slow process and actually follow through on it, and then you'll actually change your life.
Yes.
Just let it be
Well, then,
easy.
like I said, you're probably gonna realize things actually aren't clean as you make those swaps,
Yeah.
and so you'll buy something and be like, "Oh, this is
Yeah.
freaking waste of my money."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just do it slow.
Yes.
And then you can like learn, one thing, oh, I bought that. Why isn't it actually non-tox or low tox? Oh, because of this ingredient. And then that ingredient will be actually burned into your brain and
Ingrained.
you won't forget it.
Mhm.
It's like a lavender essential oils. I know, Lacey, you're about to go into this, but lavender essential oils, because I've heard essential oils can kind of be but there's three. I can't remember the other two. So sorry, everybody. But lavender is the one that stood out to me because that's an endocrine disruptor. So there's not all essential oils, but everything I would buy would be lavender because I love the smell of lavender. And I'm like, well, it's essential oil. And then lo and behold,
Lo and behold. But still,
another
I would
endocrine
still take
disruptor.
essential oils. And there's only like a few essential oils that are actually endocrine disrupting. And also with essential oils, lots of it comes down to quality and like sourcing,
Yeah.
because some of them just throw fragrance in there to make their essential oils smell like lavender, and
But it's
it's
like
not
tea
actually
tree,
sourced.
lavender, like the most
Yeah.
common ones. So,
Yeah. I just
like I
seen
said,
that
don't
too.
stress about that. That's like next level stuff. But
As I'm
it's,
about to tell you to replace all your fragrance with essential oils. No.
I know, but just something to think about.
Yeah, it is. It's just crazy. The more you learn, right? It's like, is essential oil lavender going to be better than a Tide or a Bounce Sheet? 100% yes. But then you're going to learn
Absolutely.
over this, like, oh, lavender is actually probably not the best choice.
Well, I still have so much lavender all over my house. Like, it's just something I just heard, you know what I mean? And so it's not like I'm running around throwing out all my lavender stuff
No.
now. You just learn as you go.
But yeah, so swap as you run out, and then how I kind of like prioritize the swaps, which again, I would just focus on swapping as you run out. So you should just prioritize it in that order. But if you do want a little bit more guidance, you just want to start with the highest impact ones. So, like I mentioned earlier, number one is fragrance. This just has the highest exposure surface area because it's in so many products that you use every single day. And it's absorbed both through your skin and through like inhaling. And so you want to start by just swapping out like your air fresheners, your plugins. Those are the worst offenders because they're continuously releasing into your air and you're breathing that all of the time. Same thing with candles. Like if you are in the habit of burning a candle one a day every day, switch to beeswax or to soy candles with no added fragrance.
Primally cure, code wellness with Jensen.
Yeah.
Wellness
Primary
W.
pure.
Jensen.
Or find the clean essential oils and only use those. And then just your everyday like body lotion, deodorant, perfume. Like for perfume specifically, look for brands that use only essential oil blends and like disclose every ingredient. There is some perfumes on the market now that are fragrance free, but that's a little bit harder to do. But same thing with perfume. Like it's like if you want to use your good perfume when you go on date night once a month, not going
Yeah.
to kill you. Do I think you should be spraying it on your throat directly on your thyroid? Absolutely not. Like maybe spray it at like I don't
After
even
the
know
shower,
like spray it on your feet or something. I don't even know.
your
But
hair, like your clothes even would be better. Like spray
Yeah.
your clothes and then put them on. That's what
Yeah,
I would
that's a
Yeah.
try
good
to do.
point.
but you just want to kind of start swapping out those things that are
And also, like, get used to not everything smelling quote unquote good all the time. And you'll be shocked how quick it happens and how much better you feel once those fragrances are all out of your life. Because, too, it's like people are so obsessed with like lab testing and markers and all of that stuff. And it's like you're literally drowning your body in so much scent that if you had like a pungent odor coming out of any of your mouth, your armpits, or your butt, you won't even be able to smell it because you're
But
so doused in Bath and Body Beyond, whatever. What's that place called?
Bed Bath and Beyond.
Or no. Bed
Oh,
Bath and Beyond.
Bed Bath
Bath-
Beyond. Bath and Body Works.
Yeah.
Bed Bath and
You know what I
Beyond's
mean? So
catching
it's like
strays.
those are great markers. If suddenly the scent of your armpits like changes, that's a red flag, and like you're missing it if you're covered in Bath and Body.
Lady Speed
Yeah.
Stick. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the next best place to go is just the personal care products with the high skin absorption. So your body lotion that covers your whole entire body. That's a priority because it covers a large surface area. And then I mentioned deodorant because that's applied. Like we have a lot of lymph nodes and breast tissue right where we put deodorant. And that does matter because it will impact then. And then you'll have things that mimic estrogen. And that's been linked to breast cancer.
Okay, I need you to repeat that for me because last night, and I hope Matt can hear me saying this, last night he showers before bed, puts deodorant on before bed. I was like, what are you doing? He was like, I always put deodorant on before bed. I like to wake up smelling nice. I was like, what are you doing? Please stop that.
I was so proud of Zach because he's been showering before we get in the sauna to get rid of his non-toxic deodorant. I mean,
that's
get in
a good idea.
in the sauna. He's been showering before because he's like, I just have like this, all those toxins in my armpit. I'm like,
Yeah.
so proud of
He
you.
probably won't even have to wear deodorant much longer.
No, he
if
does.
he's-
I think he just wears it to the gym, to be honest.
Yeah. I just
But
don't even
to
care.
bed.
I'm like, yeah, I'm sweaty. I'm at the gym. Like, I might smell like sweat a little bit. Like, go away then.
Yeah, I don't care.
That's what I
never
said
wear
to
it.
Matt.
And
I
sometimes
was
I
like,
stink.
either.
Oh,
Yes.
I rarely wear it.
You get used
prefer-
to your own brand.
Yeah.
I didn't wear deodorant until I was like probably 24. And I feel like that is such a big thing is we're told as soon as you turn 16, like, here's your Dove stick, like start putting deodorant on. And I never like smelled like and I always was like worried about it because I'm like, everyone's putting on deodorant every single day. And then I started wearing it and then I started noticing it. But
Well, because it literally
Weird.
traps the toxins in there so that they can't get out. So then when you wear it, you have a whole bunch of toxins like built up right there and it can't get out of your armpit. That's why people get scared to quit using deodorant because the first
Oh,
couple
yeah.
weeks you're like getting rid of all that excess toxins that were sitting right there building up and you like reek. But then after a couple weeks, you shouldn't stink. Like it shouldn't
Yeah.
be I have such an urge to smell my armpit right now, but I'm not going to do it.
I know this whole
I
time
did
I'm
it.
like,
Anyways, so surface area, shampoo and conditioner, especially if you're leaving them on for like any length of time. Period products also just want to be making good choices with all of those things. And then personal care products, then kitchen. So this is mainly about two things when it comes to your kitchen. First, your food storage. Swap plastic food containers, especially for foods that you're reheating or just hot foods, to glass or stainless steel, I guess.
And like, just
then-
wait till you see a cute one on sale at the store and then
Yeah.
grab one. And then,
or
you know.
Costco has like the bulk ones and they're such a
Yeah.
good price.
yeah.
And you'll also notice that you like lose them way less. like,
Yes.
Once you
'Cause they're
actually
so
care about
fucking
them.
big.
But yeah, no, glass is good. And then get a stainless steel glass water bottle. Get rid of the plastic water bottles. It's time.
And please get your children a metal stainless water bottle.
Yeah, pretty much
Please.
everything we're saying is 10 times more important for your children, especially if
Yeah.
they're girls, but I think just as important for guys too. But because their endocrine system hasn't fully developed yet. And so it's still learning the locks and the keys and all of that. And so if there's fake locks and real locks and fake keys, then it's just going to get more confused and you're setting up your daughter for a lot of hormonal issues in her futures once she hits puberty if you're not aware of these. So yeah, it's 10 times more important for your kids probably, which is just even more so why you need to set the example and give them the options, right? And then your cookware too. So nonstick pans coated with Teflon. They use something that's in the PFA, so the forever chemicals family. And the health risk is actually like lower, especially with like newer formulations of the nonstick and those pans. But when they get scratched and damaged, like that nonstick cookware is a much bigger concern because it can flake into your food. So especially if you're like, I made in that one reel that I did with
Scraping it.
Zach where we were like being funny and I'm like, oh, I'm going to cook his pizza pocket and the forever chemicals. Like we still have one Teflon pan that I just use in content. So we haven't thrown it out where like there's a huge missing part in the middle because of all the
Well, and
plastic and stuff that's
Did
like
you know
scraped
that it
off.
doesn't just like flake into your food? It literally like goes into the air. Like there was all these cases of birds dying because of like the Teflon fumes in the freaking air.
Oh my well, yeah, that
What?
makes
It just
fucking
go
sense.
I know.
That's
So,
insane.
get rid of your pan. This is gonna be a hard change. Trust me. I still have
Yeah.
weeks where I'll just like, because Zach has probably like the healthiest version of like, it's not straight up Teflon. It's like that rock brand, but
Oh,
it
yeah.
definitely is super easy to cook on. So like use my stainless steel for like 3 months and then I'll like use his pan for a month. I'll go
Or
back to
even
my
like
thing.
cast iron, like
Yeah.
there's so many things. Like it
It's
is a hard switch for sure. And I don't know about those like Our Place brands,
I
and
think that Our Place brand is good.
it's just
I
so
think
expensive. Like go get a
It's so
freaking stainless
expensive.
steel for freaking $10, like $50.
Yeah.
10's an
Yeah.
exaggeration, but
But
And
I got Brett like one of the best quality cast iron pans for Christmas, and I was like, "Oh god, this is gonna be like." And I look it up. He said the brand. He's like, "They're the best. All these guys use them." It was like $35. I'm like, "Oh, I thought it was gonna
cast
be like
iron's the
100."
best.
I love, love, love cast iron.
well, and it's like so much of us just need to slow the fuck down anyways, and that's half the problem.
Mhm.
And so many of these
Mhm.
products that are
Yes.
in our environment today were there to make our lives more convenient, more fast, easier. So it's like, okay, so it takes you 4 more minutes to cook your eggs on a stainless steel pan because you have to make the pan perfectly. You know what I mean? But it's like, well, just learn to romanticize those things in your
Yeah.
life instead of like resisting them so much because we all need to fucking slow down a little bit anyway. So,
Well, and it's even like with the Tide Pods. It's like, well, it's just so quick. Okay, it's like I got myself a really cute glass thing that holds my dish detergent in like a really pretty little scoop, and like I romanticize it just like you said, and it like forces you to slow down. That's such a good point. I love
yeah.
that. Cuz it's all about convenience. That's all it's ever
It is. And
been
that's why
about.
they like came out of nowhere. And it's like at first we all thought this was a good thing because it's like, oh, our food lasts longer, our beauty products last longer, our food's easier to cook. We can take our food places. It's super convenient, super easy. And now we've kind of realized like, oh, convenience isn't always the be all end all because as convenient
Yeah.
as it is to do all these things, it's also convenient to like stay alive. So
Yeah.
Yes.
Super
Love that.
convenient.
okay. Number 4, cleaning products. So most conventional cleaning sprays, detergents, fabric softeners, they're all loaded with synthetic fragrance, surfactants, and other problematic chemicals. And so because you're cleaning surfaces that you touch and fabrics that you sleep on and wear, there is significant exposure. So the good news is this is one of the easier swaps, both in terms of just availability, but also cost. So there's lots of good brands. Branch Basics, I really like. Seventh Generation, I like. BioClean is another good one. There's just so
I
much
love
more cleaner
Attitude.
options. Altitude, and or you can just make your
Attitude.
own, like Jensen said, with white vinegar, cast style soap, essential oils. But what? It's Attitude.
It's Attitude, yeah. I'm putting some links in the like so Rachel can add them
And
in the
I
show
really
notes.
like Truly Free as well. I keep going like back and forth in them because they are a American brand. A lot of these are American, which sucks. It is harder in Canada. I will admit that, but I find Truly Free to be really reasonable and yeah, actually works.
Yeah, with Attitude, they just came out with essential oil brands because some of them did have fragrance in them. So you just want to look for the essential oil ones.
But yeah, and I think a lot of people just think like, is it going to be expensive? Like this is so expensive, but it's obviously a valid concern, but you just want to concentrate on the products with the highest skin contact and the ones that you use most frequently. Those are going to be the most important. And again, for the 5th time, you do not need to upgrade everything at once. And then a lot of the DIY cleaning solutions that I mentioned are actually significantly cheaper than the conventional products. So
Yeah.
there's that. You can also buy in bulk. Me and Zach go to like a bulk store where we fill up glass containers for our laundry detergent and our essential oils and stuff like that. So there's lots of those options. And then
And sometimes I notice, like, I don't know if other people can relate to this, but if I buy something at the grocery store, which is where you can get all the shitty like Tide Pods, laundry detergent, hand soap, you can get all of that at the grocery store. So when you buy it with your groceries, you almost like don't consider it a cost. It's like in with your groceries and then but if you have to order it online, like you would look at it as like a separate, like a different expense or something. Like I don't know if that is something that you guys notice that you do, but like I notice that.
You almost pay attention to it more.
Yeah, it feels different for some reason. It feels
Yeah.
more expensive because you have to go order it separately than like grabbing Tide at the grocery store, but it's probably very similar in
Mhm.
price. And I know the stuff that I get from Truly Free is cheaper.
Yeah. No, it's honestly all about the same. You're
Yeah.
really, which makes sense because the good stuff has way less ingredients, so they don't have to charge as much because they don't have all these
Mhm.
fucking chemicals. Okay, so that's kind of like where to focus, and then I just wanna end a little bit with how we can also support our body because, yes, we can lessen the load that goes in our body, but we also want to support our body in getting rid of whatever load is already in there, and the good news is that our body is incredible and there's a lot of ways that we can support it. And so, like we kind of mentioned earlier, our body is really good at detoxifying. It was designed for it. The problems we've been talking about today are largely a problem of volume. So, just the sheer amount of synthetic chemicals our bodies are asked to process in this modern world far exceeds what we evolved to handle. Like we said, we were evolved to handle a little bit of smoke from the campfire, but we do have pathways that do help with the detoxification process, and we do need to support them. So, especially in today's world, I think everyone needs to. So, yes, our liver is the primary detoxification organ. Everything that gets absorbed through your gut, through your skin, through your lungs goes through your liver for processing. The liver works in two phases. Phase one breaks down toxins into smaller pieces. Phase two packages them up for elimination. And so, what's important is phase two requires nutrients. Specifically, it needs amino acids from protein, B vitamins, magnesium, and antioxidants like glutathione. So, if you're deficient in these, which a lot of women are, phase two gets backed up and then the toxins get broken down, but then they just sit there, sometimes in a more reactive form than they started. And this is why just like eating clean isn't always enough if your nutrient status is poor. So get an HTMA and make sure you're eating your protein. And
Yeah.
then your gut is the exit route. So once the liver packages up those toxins, they go into your bile, which goes into your gut, which is supposed to eliminate them. But again, and this is huge, if you're constipated, if your gut microbiome is out of balance, or if you don't have enough fiber to bind to those toxins and carry them out, then they will and can get reabsorbed. And this is like another reason why gut health is so central to everything. And we obviously talk a lot about this just with our clients and at Lifestyle U, but the gut is not just about digestion, it is a detox organ. Also, our lymphatic system. So we just dropped our episode a few episodes back. So if you didn't listen to that, go listen to that. But that is our body's waste drainage system. So unlike your circulatory system, it doesn't have that pump. It relies on movement to circulate. So exercise, dry brushing, massage, these things literally move your lymph and support your body's ability to clear that cellular waste and those excess toxins. So that's just as important. And then two more, stick with me. Your skin is a detox organ too. So, like we were just talking about with the deodorant, like sweating is one of the ways that the body eliminates certain toxins, specifically heavy metals. And so, regular exercise that make you sweat, or just, prioritizing sauna once or twice a week, hot baths even can really be good for sweating. These will support that pathway. And then, last but not least, the one we all like to overlook and underdo is sleep. And I can't emphasize this enough, but during deep sleep, your lymphatic system, which is like your brain's own waste clearance system, that becomes highly active and your brain literally rinses itself. And so if you're not getting enough sleep or good quality sleep that doesn't happen efficiently, then that is going to affect everything downstream. And so, quick takeaway, what's going to support all of this? Protein, enough of it, because your liver needs those amino acids. Getting enough fiber, 25 to 35 grams a day, work your way up slowly if you're nowhere near that, from a variety of like plant sources. And then hydration. So prioritizing good quality water. Water is literally how toxins get transported and eliminated. And so if you don't have enough of it, or it's has and filled with a bunch of toxins itself, it's not going to support your detox pathways. And then movement. So daily, even if it's just walking, is super important as a human. And then sleep, which I kind of alluded to, but prioritizing it and not just fitting it in. And then obviously like reducing that incoming load, which is what we've been talking about today. So The beautiful thing about all of this is it is all overlapping. So supporting your detox pathways supports your hormones. Supporting your hormones supports your energy. Supporting your energy makes you more likely to move, sleep better, eat well. It's all an interconnected system. And that is the root cause approach. That's what we're always coming back to. Boom.
Boom.
So, yeah, we covered a lot today, but proud of you for sticking with it if you're still here listening. But it is important information, I think. And just to kind of like wrap things up and put a bow on it, as I like to say, is your endocrine system is your hormone communication network. It governs everything from your energy to your mood to your weight to your cycles. Endocrine disruptors are chemicals that interfere with that system by mimicking, blocking, or disrupting your natural hormones. They're in the products you use every single day, your fragrance, your plastics, your nonstick pans, your cleaning products. It's never, ever, ever just one thing. It is your toxic load, the cumulative bucket that fills over time. And your body does have incredible ways to detox and restore when you support them. But it starts with awareness and just understanding. And I think that's always like when people are like, well, what do you think about this? What do you think about like drinking a white monster? And I'm like, well, I don't know. Is it like the only white monster and chemical filled drink that you've had in 4 years? Or are you drinking 4 a day every single day? And you also use a whole bunch of other horrible products, right? Like it's never just one thing. It's what you're doing all of the time, every day. And so it's because it's not one thing, you don't have to be scared of like a white monster, or if you go to your mother-in-law's and she uses bounce dryer sheets. But focus on what you can control, and then you don't have to worry about the one-offs.
Yeah.
Boom.
Boom. Cool.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Well, hopefully you guys think so. We also have a toxin swap sheet that I do give out a lot on my Instagram, but we'll also include that in the show notes with just some common brands that we like.
Yeah, and I was going to say you can reach out to us too if you need help. Like I think we have a pretty good grasp on it at this point.
Yes, for sure. So don't
shoot us a DM.
Shoot us a DM.
Yeah.
We'll get back to you. And as
I have
always,
a couple different links in the show notes that I've added.
lots of links in the show notes. If you have any other questions, let us
guides.
know. We're always happy to help. And if you enjoyed this episode, one, send it to someone who needs to hear this so we can spread the news.
Good
and
word.
To support, please like, share, subscribe, do whatever you have to do. Engage with our reels on Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good call.
Okay, love you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Good job, Lace.
Thanks for tuning in to The Wellness Effect. We're so grateful to be part of your wellness journey. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and follow us on Instagram. We'll put all of our handles in the show notes. If you have questions or ideas, slide into our DMs or send us an email. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, keep creating your own wellness effect.